Welcome to The Deep Dive, the show that's, well, your ultimate shortcut to being truly well-informed. We dive into a stack of articles, research, our own notes, and we pull out the absolute key nuggets, getting right to the core of what you really need to know. Today, we're digging into something pretty exciting. We're not just talking about a single soccer game. We're plunging headfirst into that really fascinating intersection of, high-stakes global soccer, the rise of incredible young talent, and some seriously cutting-edge tactical innovation. So our mission for this deep dive is to unpack all the layers surrounding a really high-profile match. Juventus's dominant 4-1 victory over Wydad Casablanca. This was in the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup. We'll set the scene for you. Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, a crucial group stage game, and it unfolded under some pretty challenging conditions, as we'll see. But like I said, this isn't just about the 4-1 scoreline. We're aiming to peel back those layers, look at the strategic shifts, the tactical decisions that led to this result, and also the standout individual performances that really caught everyone's eye, and maybe the broader implications too, beyond just this one game for Juventus and maybe even for global soccer itself.
You've really hit on something crucial there, because this match, it's so much more than just, getting points for the group stage. What's truly fascinating, I think, is how it acts as this kind of window into Juventus's evolving identity, especially under their new coach. And in a wider sense yet, it's a direct glimpse into where global club soccer might be heading. The stakes were incredibly high for both teams involved here, and the decisive way Juventus handled it all, well, it offers a ton of insights into where the sport is actually going. We're seeing this new era for these big tournaments, and this game, a prime example of that intensity on setting the stage. The Club World Cup's new landscape and Group G dynamics.
Right. Let's unpack this first. This monumental shift in the tournament itself. We're talking about the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup. And it's undergone what you could only call a seismic transformation, really. This isn't the smaller, familiar tournament fans might remember from previous years. We're now looking at this huge expanded format, a staggering 32 teams from all across the globe. So it's not just a tweak, it's a complete redefinition of global club competition, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. A total redefinition. And if you connect this to the bigger picture, this expansion is just colossal. Not just the number of teams, right? But the economic side, the strategic implications, they're really profound. We're hearing about a prize pool reported to be around, get this, $1 billion.
Wow. $1 billion.
Yeah, just imagine that figure for a second. And the club that wins it all, they could potentially walk away with up to $125 million. So this isn't just about, lifting a trophy anymore. It's about this unprecedented financial injection into clubs worldwide. For a lot of teams, this could fundamentally change their financial strategies for years. Think about maybe a mid-tier European club or a rising team from an emerging league. A payout like that. That could fund amazing new training facilities, attract better young players, maybe even just stabilize their finances and let them invest in scouting across continents. It really cements the commercial value of global club soccer and dramatically raises the tournament's prestige. It's a key battleground now, not just for silverware, but for, financial clout and global brand recognition. It's a proper game changer.
Right, a game changer indeed. And within this new supersized high-stakes tournament, Juventus found themselves in Group G. Now, going into this match against Wydad Casablanca, Juventus had already they'd made a pretty big statement in their first game. They thrashed Al Ain 5-0. So they were definitely feeling confident, you'd imagine. But they also knew they had to keep that momentum going against what was still a tough opponent.
Exactly. And while Juventus were, flying high after that opening win, Wydad were in a much tougher spot, a lot more precarious, facing immense pressure. They'd lost their first game 0-2 to Manchester City, the European powerhouse. So that immediately put them in a desperate situation. They absolutely needed points from this Juventus game to have any hope of staying in contention for the knockout stages. And that creates this really specific, intense pressure dynamic for both sides, doesn't it? Juventus looking to lock down qualification, maybe top the group early, while Wydad were basically fighting for their tournament lives. That difference in motivation, it could have led to a very different kind of match. Wydad may be playing with nothing to lose, going all out,
Yeah, potentially much more aggressive.
Right. It forced Juventus to be sharp right from the first whistle, expecting that kind of desperation.
And then there was another layer of difficulty, a pretty significant one, the conditions. Our sources really highlight this. The match was played at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, and the conditions were described as brutal. Scorching 32 degrees Celsius heat. That's not just warm, that's incredibly hot for a high-intensity soccer match, even for these top athletes.
Oh, it's absolutely brutal. Can you imagine being out on that pitch, under that sun, with that kind of oppressive heat, probably humidity too. Those kinds of conditions, they definitely impact player performance, stamina, tactical execution. For both teams, regardless of how well-conditioned they are, high heat just brings on fatigue much faster. It cuts down your sprint capacity. It can even mess with your decision-making because of dehydration and just the mental strain. So for a team like Juventus, who, under Tudor, seemed to rely heavily on that high-tempo pressing and quick transitions, maintaining that for 90 minutes, that's a massive test. A test of fitness, mental strength, and importantly, squad depth.
Right, you need the players to keep it up.
Exactly. And while Wydad, coming from North Africa, might theoretically be more used to warmer weather, the kind of sustained effort needed at this elite level would still be grueling for them too. So it wasn't just a tactical battle, it was a real battle against the elements as well. That added a critical extra dimension for both coaches in their preparation and how they managed the game itself. 2. The unfolding drama. Key moments and goal breakdown.
Okay. So here's where it's really interesting, because despite those tough conditions, Juventus didn't just, manage. They came out absolutely firing right from the start. The intensity from the Italian side was immediate. You could see their intent, dominate this match, get qualification sorted, and then just 6 minutes in, they got that early breakthrough. We saw Thuram play a really precise through ball into the box. The young talent Kenan Yildiz got onto it. His shot took an unfortunate deflection off the Wydad defender Boutouil, and it was an own goal. Just like that, 6 minutes gone, Juventus had the lead.
That early goal, it just instantly, decisively shifted the whole momentum of the game. And it raises that question, doesn't it? Was it just, a bit of luck, a fortunate bounce, or was it a direct result of Juventus's deliberate, relentless tactical press? Given how they played the whole match, I think it leans heavily towards the latter. Their intensity from minute one, combined with that quick vertical passing we talked about, it seemed to force Wydad into mistakes, into rush decisions at the back. And getting an early advantage like that, it's absolutely crucial in these big tournaments. It lets the team in front settle down, dictate the play. And critically, it means they can potentially conserve a bit of energy later on, which under that Philadelphia heat is invaluable. It's not just a goal on the scoreboard. It's a huge psychological blow to the team that concedes.
And then, just 10 minutes after that, in the 16th minute, the 19-year-old Turkish talent, Kenan Yildiz, really announced himself on the global stage with a spectacular goal of his own. And this wasn't just any goal, it was absolutely jaw-dropping. A long-range shot right from the edge of the box, a missile, really, that just flew into the top right corner. Pure quality, pure brilliance from a teenager.
Yeah, that goal was a definitive moment. Undeniable star potential flashing right there for Kenan Yildiz. It showed this technical maturity, this audacious confidence that seems way beyond his years. For a 19-year-old to even try that shot, let alone execute it with such incredible precision, power, picking out the top corner from distance like that, it speaks volumes about his talent, his composure under the spotlight. It didn't just make it 2-0, giving Juve a big cushion early on and really stamping their authority on the game. It sent a message, didn't it, to the whole soccer world about this kid's talent. It's the kind of goal that gets scouts and fans everywhere buzzing, a moment that makes you think, yeah, this young man is destined for the very top.
But, despite being 2-0 down so early, you have to give Wydad immense credit. They didn't just fold, they responded. In the 25th minute, they showed some real resilience. Amrabat played this really sharp, incisive through ball that cut right through the Juventus defense. It set up Luza, who produced a really calm, composed chip shot finish, pulled one back for Wydad. It gave them a vital bit of hope, didn't it, in a game that looked like it was slipping away fast.
That goal from Luza, yeah, it's definitely worth looking at closely. Was it a momentary lapse from Juve? A rare one, maybe defensively? Or was it actually a genuine display of Wydad's own attacking threat, their resilience, maybe capitalizing on a brief drop in Juve's intensity? It was a beautifully taken goal, no doubt. Showed Luza's composure, his clinical finishing. It suggested Wydad did have individual quality that could punish any slip-up. But what's fascinating, and maybe crucial here, is what happened immediately after. That 4-minute delay because some Moroccan fans set off fireworks.
Right, the smoke delay.
Yeah. Exactly. Thick smoke obscuring the pitch. Now, that kind of interruption, it could be a massive double-edged sword in soccer. It might kill the momentum for the team that just scored, like Wydad here, stopping them from building on it. But it could also give the other team, Juventus in this case, a chance to regroup, refocus, maybe break the opponent's rhythm. For Juve, it's probably a crucial moment to just reset. For Tudor to get some quick instructions out there, make sure they didn't lose their heads or their tactical shape, which had been so good early on, it might have just broken Wydad's potential fight back right there.
Interesting point. Okay, so moving into the second half, Juventus made a key substitution that seemed to pay off immediately. They brought on Coop Miners, and you can almost feel it. It noticeably injected new energy, new control into their midfield. Seemed like a really smart strategic move by Coach Tudor. And then almost as if to underline his impact, Kenan Yildiz struck again. This was in the 69th minute. Kolo Muani provided this fantastic, intelligent assist from the left wing. And Yildiz, cool as you like, just calmly slotted it into the far corner. Completed his brace, his second goal of the match. Game over, surely.
Pretty much, yeah. Yildiz's composure for that second goal, it just cemented his man-of-the-match status, didn't it? While maybe not as spectacular visually as the long-range rocket earlier, this goal showed a different but just as vital kind of finishing. That coolness, that precision under pressure inside the box, that's absolutely essential for top strikers. It wasn't about pure power this time. It was about placement, timing, maybe a little fake shot, creating the space. And this goal was hugely significant. It effectively sealed the win for Juventus, put the game completely beyond Wydad's reach at 3-1, and guaranteed their spot in the knockouts. It also underlined his versatility, didn't it? Scoring in different ways. Proved the first goal wasn't just a one-off flash of brilliance.
And then just to really put the icing on the cake, wrap things up, deep in stoppage time, we saw the Wydad defender Ferreira foul Vlahovic inside the box. Penalty. The Serbian striker Vlahovic stepped up pretty confidently and buried the penalty. Made it a commanding 4-1 final score for Juventus.
Vlahovic's impact there, even coming on as a super sub, was really clear, wasn't it? Tangible, even in those dying minutes. Earning the penalty and then converting it, especially that late, it does more than just pad the scoreline. It boosts the whole team's confidence, it reinforces their attacking depth, and it significantly helps their goal difference, which, as we know, can be absolutely vital for group standings later on. Plus, getting a key striker like him on the scoresheet, even from the spot, it's always good for morale, for his confidence going forward. That final goal really showcased the depth of this Juventus squad, showed that players coming off the bench can make an immediate, impactful contribution, keeping that intensity high right to the final whistle. 3. The Bible of the Blueprints. Tactical innovations and mismatched systems.
Okay, so we've broken down the goals, the key moments. But what does this all mean for Juventus's underlying approach, their tactics? Because a huge part of their success here was undeniably Coach Tudor's bold tactical adjustment. He went with a 3-4-2-1 formation, which, seemed like a complete masterstroke, especially maybe considering Juventus's history with more, let's say, conventional setups in the past.
Oh, absolutely. This tactical setup was critical. It was the cornerstone of their dominant performance, no question. Let's maybe dive into the specifics a bit, because the effectiveness really lies in the details, how it all worked together. You had Di Gregorio in goal, solid, commanding presence. Then the back three, Kalulu, Savona, and Keeley. They formed this really robust defensive base, capable of soaking up pressure but also starting attacks from deep. Then the wing-backs, this is key. Costa on the right, Cambiaso on the left. They were absolutely pivotal, providing that crucial width when Juve attacked, but also working hard defensively. Costa, especially on that right side, had a really outstanding game. He was constantly threatening, making overlapping runs, putting in dangerous crosses, really stretching Wydad's defense.
Right, pulling them wide.
Exactly. And in central midfield, you had McKennie and Thuram forming this dynamic pivot, their job. Win the ball, orchestrate the play, distribute it accurately. Thuram's role here seemed particularly important. He was like the deep-lying playmaker, setting the tempo, linking the defense to the attack with those sharp forward passes. But, and this is maybe the magic ingredient, what really made this system hum, what turned it into such a problem for Wydad, was the freedom given to the two attacking midfielders, Kenan Yildiz and Conceição. They operated in those two positions, just behind the lone striker Kolo Muani, who led the line well with his physical presence and smart runs. This setup played right into Yildiz's strengths, didn't it? It allowed him to just roam freely, cut inside from different angles, take shots from distance, get into the box from the wings. It's a really versatile, fluid role that just maximized his creativity and his goal threat, made him incredibly difficult for Wydad's defenders to pick up and track.
So that freedom was key for him.
Absolutely key. And the benefits of the whole system were pretty clear. Firstly, Yeah, that freedom for Yildiz. He wasn't stuck out wide or just playing centrally. He could drift, find pockets of space, create problems for Wydad's shape. Secondly, the wingbacks, Costa and Cambiaso, they provided that essential width that constantly stretched Wydad's defense, which was trying to stay compact. And that then created these huge pockets of space in what we call the half spaces, those crucial channels between the opposition center backs and fullbacks. That's where Yildiz and Constant could really do damage.
Right, exploiting those gaps.
Precisely. Their overlapping runs were a constant headache for Wydad, turning defense into attack almost seamlessly. And thirdly, something really crucial, was the emphasis on fast, vertical passing. Juventus weren't just keeping the ball for the sake of it. They seemed focused on minimizing unproductive possession. They were always looking for the quickest, most direct route towards goal. That increases attacking sharpness, and it gives the opposition less time to get organized defensively. So this combination, structural solidity at the back, fluidity and freedom in attack, and those rapid transitions, it really made Tudor's 3-4-2-1 a complete and devastating blueprint that Wydad just couldn't handle. They were left chasing shadows for large parts of the game.
Okay, so that was Yu's masterstroke. How did Wydad try and counter this? You mentioned they went with a more conventional 4-2-3-1. That's usually considered a pretty balanced setup, right? But it clearly, well, spectacularly struggled against Juve's high-energy system. What specifically went wrong for Wydad tactically?
Yeah, you're spot on. It struggled massively. Their 4-2-3-1, which, against other teams might be balanced and effective, it just proved totally insufficient against Juve's aggressive high press in that dynamic 3-4-2-1. Their defensive line been a bit in goal, that the back four of Mufle, Ferreira, Boutouil, and Mejias, they just seemed to experience continuous breakdowns, frequent errors under that relentless pressure. You could really see it in how they couldn't cope with Juve's wingbacks pushing so high up the pitch, and then Yildiz and Conceição drifting cleverly into those half spaces we mentioned. Wydad's two central midfielders often found themselves completely outnumbered, bypassed, which just left their defense totally exposed time and again.
So the midfield battle was lost.
Pretty much, yeah. Because Juve's wing-backs weren't just providing width. Their overlapping runs forced Wydad's fullbacks to lock deeper and deeper, and that created exactly those big gaps in the half spaces for Yildiz and Conceição to exploit, which in turn often pulled Wydad's central defenders out of position, leaving Kolo Muani with maybe more one-on-one situations or clearer runs towards goal. And while Amrabat in particular showed some real moments of quality in midfield for Wydad breaking up play, trying to dictate things, get them moving forward, their overall creative output was just severely lacking. They simply couldn't generate enough genuine attacking threat or even hold on to the ball consistently enough to really trouble Juventus's well-drilled defense. What's fascinating here really is how that clear tactical advantage Juventus gained, just by ruthlessly exploiting the weaknesses in Wydad's more conventional setup, became the defining factor. It wasn't just about individual quality, although Juventus certainly had that in abundance. It was fundamentally about how the two systems clashed. And Tudor's innovative system just won out decisively.
Proving, I guess, the tactical preparation can be just as crucial as raw talent at this level. Bluevy. The unveiling numbers. Beyond the scoreline.
Okay, let's shift focus a bit and really dig into the numbers now, because, as you often say, they can tell a deeper, maybe more nuanced story than just the final score. And what seems immediately counterintuitive here is that Wydad actually had more shots, 15 shots compared to Juventus's 9. So how do we square that circle? More shots for Wydad, but a dominant 4-1 win for Juventus.
Yeah, this is a perfect, almost textbook example of why just looking at the basic shot count doesn't tell you the whole story in soccer. Not at all. You absolutely have to look at shot quality and, maybe even more importantly, shot efficiency. How clinical were they? So Juventus, seemingly fewer shots, only 9. But they managed to get 3 of those directly on target. Now, here's the astonishing part. Those 3 shots on target, plus the pressure that led to the own goal early on, yielded an incredible 4 goals. That's an efficiency rate of well over 100% for shots on target if you count the own goal's influence, or around 44% shooting accuracy leading to goals. That is absolutely clinical finishing at this level. Completely ruthless. Every chance they created seemed to be a high-quality one, and they capitalized on almost all of them with deadly precision. Wydad, on the other hand, 15 shots in total. They managed 6 on target, which isn't terrible in itself, but they only converted 1 of those 6 into a goal. That stark difference, it just reveals Juventus's clinical edge. They were incredibly precise, incredibly effective with the chances they carved out. Wydad, conversely, really struggled to convert their opportunities. They seemed to take more speculative shots from, low probability areas, or maybe failed to hit the target from decent positions despite having more attempts overall. It really highlights precision over just sheer volume.
Juventus also really controlled the game, didn't they? And that's reflected in their possession stat, an impressive 63.5%. That's a significant margin in a competitive match like this.
Absolutely. That high possession rate, especially when you combine it with their exceptional pass completion, 86% accuracy out of nearly 500 passes, 488 to be exact, it speaks volumes. It shows Juventus's cohesion, their technical quality across the pitch, and their ability to dictate the tempo, control the flow of the match. Thuram's role in central midfield, as we touched on, was particularly crucial here. He was effectively the conductor, wasn't he? Ensuring smooth build-up, distributing the ball accurately, keeping possession even when Wydad tried to press. And if you connect this to the bigger picture, having high possession and accurate passing isn't just about keeping the ball for fun. It indicates a deliberate tactical strategy. It's about tiring the opponent out, forcing them to chase, pulling them out of their defensive shape, and then patiently creating the openings to exploit. It shows patience and control, waiting for the right moment to strike, which actually aligns perfectly with Tudor's technical idea. It wasn't just sterile possession. It was possession with purpose, designed to lead into those fast vertical attacks we saw, dominating the ball to create decisive advantages.
It also felt like quite a physical battle out there, especially given the heat. The stats show an even corner count, 5 each, but a really high total foul count, 32 fouls in the game. That suggests a lot of contested duels, a real fight.
Yeah, that high foul count definitely points to the intensity, the physicality of the match. Especially, you'd imagine, with Wydad trailing for so long. They were likely trying desperately, maybe aggressively, to win the ball back. And sometimes that aggression spills over into fouls, especially when the opposition is controlling possession like Juventus were. But despite Wydad's efforts, and maybe their physicality, Juventus's defensive resilience really stood out, particularly their goalkeeper, Di Gregorio. He was excellent. He made 5 crucial saves throughout the game. That ensured Juve's lead was protected, that Wydad couldn't really get back into it, apart from that one well-taken goal they conceded. And these weren't just routine saves, Sources mention a mix commanding catches from crosses, quick reactions to stop close-range shots, strong hands to parry away more powerful efforts. He really absorbed Wydad's moments of pressure and stopped any real comeback momentum building.
So a key performance from him, too.
Definitely. And you could maybe contrast that with Wydad's keeper, Ben Abid, who perhaps appeared a bit less effective, less commanding against Juve's powerful and clinical attacks. So yeah, Wydad's higher foul count probably stemmed from that desperation, those aggressive attempts to regain the ball when they were behind, often leading to fouls instead of clean tackles. But that physical battle also shows something else. While Juventus were tactically superior, they also showed they could stand up to the physical challenge from a determined opponent. That proves their mental toughness, their physical readiness too. They weren't just outskilling them, they were outfighting them when needed. V stars of the show. Individual brilliance on a global stage.
So after all that analysis, tactically, statistically, it really comes back to individual shining too. And Kenan Yildiz was, without a shadow of a doubt, the undisputed man of the match. 2 goals, 1 assist. He just stole the show, didn't he?
Oh, he absolutely did. It was a performance that truly announced him on the world stage. And Coach Tudor's praise for him after the match was incredibly telling, I think. It really sheds light on why people are so excited about him. Tudor called him a golden boy. He highlighted this rarity, this ability Yildiz has to operate effectively right up in the attacking third with his creativity, his goal threat, but also to contribute with the kind of tireless work rate you'd expect from a central midfielder.
That combination is pretty special. It's incredibly rare. Tudor also specifically mentioned Yildiz's strong mental fortitude, emphasizing that ultimately only Yildiz himself can really decide how far he can go. Now, getting that kind of praise from a coach like Tudor, known for his tactical mind, his sharp eye for detail, it speaks volumes about Yildiz's massive potential to become a genuinely world-class player, not just, a flash in the pan. And let's maybe just break down his 2 goals again briefly, because they really demonstrate different yet equally brilliant parts of his game. That first one, the audacious long-range strike, that showcased, as the sources put it, a dazzling angle and immense technical content. It was just pure precision, raw power, catching the keeper totally by surprise from distance. A real moment of individual magic.
Yeah, unforgettable.
Right. But then the second goal, it showed something else. Incredible composure, intelligence, maturity. It involved apparently a deceptive fake shot and perfect timing to calmly slot it
into the far corner, creating space where there didn't seem to be much, showing that different kind of clinical finishing inside the box, that versatility going from a spectacular long-range bomb to a calm, clever, close-range finish. It just underlines his multifaceted attacking threat, his ability to adapt, to score in different ways, handle different pressures. For a 19-year-old to execute like that on this huge global stage, it's genuinely remarkable, and it really points toward an incredibly bright, maybe even dominant future for him in world soccer.
That is incredible for someone so young, but, we've seen many young talents flash brilliance early only to maybe struggle later. What do you think are the biggest challenges Yildiz faces now in actually sustaining this level? And what would Tudor and Juventus need to do to really ensure he fulfills that golden boy potential?
That's a really crucial question, isn't it? Because the hype will be huge now. I think the biggest challenge for any rising star like Yildiz is always consistency and also adaptation. Opponents will now study him intensely. They'll dedicate specific tactical plans just to try and neutralize his threat. He's going to face much tighter marking, probably more double teaming, maybe even, unfortunately, more cynical fouls trying to stop him. So, to sustain this level, he absolutely needs to keep evolving his game. Maybe add new layers to his movement off the ball, perhaps improve his weaker foot even further, become even smarter tactically in how he finds space or creates for others when he is marked tightly. For Tudor and Juventus, the key is probably careful management. They need to balance his playing time, make sure he doesn't burn out physically or mentally. That pressure can be immense. They need to keep giving him that tactical freedom within their system, because clearly it works for him, but also keep pushing him to develop those other parts of his game, maybe his defensive work rate, his decision-making when creating for teammates, not just scoring himself.
And crucially, I think they need to manage the external noise, the expectations that are going to skyrocket after a performance like this. Making sure he stays grounded, focused on just getting better every day, rather than believing he's already arrived based on one amazing game. That'll be vital for him to truly fulfill that golden boy tag and become a consistent global superstar for years to come.
Makes sense. Careful management is key. And as brilliant as Yildiz was, it wasn't just a one-man show, was it? Several other Juventus players made absolutely critical contributions that, allowed Yildiz to shine and help the whole team dominate. Who else stood out for you in that supporting cast?
Well, yeah, beyond Yildiz's undeniable star turn, there were absolutely several other pivotal performances that really formed the foundation of Juventus's success. Thuram in central midfield for me was phenomenal, maybe the unsung hero of the match, arguably. His organizational role was just key. He was the engine room back there, constantly reading the play, breaking up the few attacks Wydad managed, and consistently delivering those crucial, incisive forward passes that opened up Wydad's defense, creating chance after chance for the players ahead of him. He dictated the tempo, linked defense, and attacked so smoothly, and kept Juve's passing accuracy high. Brilliant performance. Then you have Cambiaso, who is excellent as the left wing-back. He put in such a strong, tireless shift, didn't he? A real two-way performance, contributed massively defensively, tracking back, making important clearances, but also driving forward relentlessly down that left flank and providing that great assist for Yildiz's second goal. His ability to just cover the entire wing, offensively and defensively, was vital for making Tudor's 3-4-2-1 system work so well. That system really demands a lot from its wingbacks.
Yeah, they have to cover so much ground.
Exactly. And we definitely can't overlook Vlahovic either, even though he came on later. He proved his value as a super sub, didn't he? Mm-hmm. Not only earning and then confidently converting that late penalty, but his introduction just injected fresh energy, a different kind of attacking threat into those final stages. His active runs, his physical presence, holding the ball up, it immediately put Wydad's tired defense under even more pressure. It really showcased the depth and quality Juventus have on their bench. So yeah, these players, working together, they ensured that Yildiz's individual brilliance wasn't just isolated, but was part of this superbly orchestrated, high-performing team effort. Their contributions were absolutely integral to that comprehensive 4-1 win.
And even though Wydad were heavily defeated, it's always important to acknowledge individual effort. Were there any bright spots on their side? Any players who performed well despite the overwhelming scoreline?
Yeah, despite the big loss, there were certainly players on Wydad's team who showed their quality and fought hard. Luzu was, for me, undoubtedly Wydad's best player on the day. He wasn't just notable for scoring their only goal, which was a really calm, skillful chip, by the way, but his overall attacking stats were pretty impressive considering how little of the ball they had. Sources mentioned 3 shots on goal, 7 touches inside the Juventus box. That shows his individual attacking ability, proves he was trying to be a constant threat, even if ultimately frustrated when his team was struggling to break Juve down. And also, the veteran midfielder Amrabat.
he played a really crucial role for them too. You could see his experience out there. He successfully broke up play quite a few times, trying to bring some stability to a midfield that was often overrun. And of course, he delivered that excellent defense-splitting assist for Loser's goal. So while their individual efforts clearly weren't enough to get a result against a superior Juventus side on the day, these players definitely demonstrated their quality, their fighting spirit, showed moments of what they're capable of. 6.
The road ahead.
Juventus's ambitions and the Manchester City showdown.
So this dominant victory, it's done the job. It's secured Juventus's early qualification for the round of 16, puts them firmly top of Group G, perfect record, 6 points from 2 games. That's an incredibly strong position to be in this early.
It really is a fantastic position for them. If we look at the full group standings now, after this match,
Yeah,
Juventus on maximum 6 points. Manchester City are on 4 points after they surprisingly drew with Al Ain.
Yeah.
And then Wydad and Al Ain are both on 0 points, so they're officially out. This means Juventus haven't just qualified with a game still to play, but they've also set up this absolutely decisive winner-takes-all clash. Well, winner-takes-group top spot clash, anyway.
Against Man City.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This upcoming match against Manchester City will determine who finishes first in the group. And that is absolutely crucial for potentially getting a more favorable opponent in the round of 16 draw. Winning your group, as you know, it gives you that theoretically easier path in the next round. You avoid playing other group winners straight away, potentially lets you manage your squad better for tougher games later on.
And that massive clash against Manchester City is coming up soon, June 26th, down at Orlando's Camping World Stadium. The anticipation for that one must be huge already. A real battle of European giants, but on this new global stage.
Oh, absolutely. The stakes couldn't be higher, really, for group bragging rights and for that crucial knockout stage positioning. This match isn't just about pride. It's about getting that strategic advantage for the rest of the tournament. And Juventus actually enter this massive game with a significant, maybe even crucial advantage already. Their goal difference, remarkable, +8. They scored 9 goals and conceded only 1 across their 2 games so far.
That's huge.
It's massive. Because it means that even if they only manage a draw against Manchester City and Orlando, they will still finish first in the group based on that superior goal difference, which is the main tiebreaker if teams end level on points. So that gives them a certain tactical flexibility that Manchester City don't really have. Juve don't have to go all out and win, although a victory would obviously send a huge message and confirm their status as a major contender for the whole thing. But City must win to top the group. It sets up a really interesting tactical battle, doesn't it? A true test of strength, tactical smarts against another European giant, and both teams will be acutely aware of how that goal difference changes the dynamic.
Coach Tudor must be absolutely delighted, surely, with the team's performance, how they executed the plan, and especially maintaining his impressive 7-game unbeaten run since he took charge. That's a fantastic start for him.
Yeah, it must be, yeah. And rightly so. That sustained unbeaten run since he came in, combined with this really dominant showing so far in the Club World Cup, it's doing more than just building confidence week by week. It feels like it's actively cultivating a real championship mentality within that squad. You know, that unwavering belief, even when things get tough, that they can dominate opponents, overcome challenges, find ways to win consistently. That's the hallmark of truly elite title-winning teams. It shows that Tudor's tactical ideas are being fully embraced, executed really effectively by the players, that they're buying into his philosophy. And Consol's comments after the Wydad match, they perfectly summed up the team's attitude, I thought. Very professional, very forward-thinking. He acknowledged Wydad were tough, gave them respect, but immediately his focus just shifted straight to the difficult match coming up against Manchester City, the one that will decide the group winner. It just underlines the team's clear-eyed focus on the next challenge, their ambition not just to compete, but to really try and dominate this new era of global club soccer.
So let's try and wrap up our deep dive today. We've really seen, haven't we, Tudor's tactical revolution taking shape right there on the global stage. We've seen the undeniable, really exhilarating emergence of young talents like Kenan Yildiz, and just the overall maturity, the stellar performance of this Juventus squad in this brand new high-stakes Club World Cup format. It really has been, well, a bit of a masterclass in execution from them so far.
And for you, the listener, hopefully understanding this deep dive goes beyond just, being interested in a soccer result. This match, it really serves as a kind of case study, doesn't it, in strategic execution under pressure. It's an insightful look into how top-tier talent gets identified, nurtured, and then unleashed on the world.
And it's a crucial glimpse into this high-stakes, rapidly evolving landscape of international club competitions. It profoundly demonstrates, I think, how quickly you can acquire informed knowledge when you really focus on the why and the how behind events, not just the what. It lets you truly understand those underlying currents that are shaping the sport, and maybe even things beyond sport, too.
Absolutely spot on. So considering everything we've discussed, this tactical mastery from Tudor, the undeniable emergence of these young, electrifying stars like Yildiz, and Juventus's commanding presence so far in this new global tournament, here's maybe a provocative thought to leave you with. Will this Club World Cup campaign, and maybe specifically this dominant victory over Wydad, be looked back on as the true turning point? The moment where Juventus didn't just reclaim its historic dominance, perhaps, but also fundamentally redefined what it means to be a global soccer powerhouse in this brave new era. It certainly gives us all a lot to think about, doesn't it, regarding how innovation in tactics and that strategic development of youth are actively shaping the future of the beautiful game for years to come.